Yeah, it's just that I'm asking because I guess when I speak with my girlfriend and I use these, she allegedly can hear me, and we were thinking that it's just like audio and like the voice or whatever the fuck is actually from the phone. So that's why I was saying I'm testing this out then. So okay, I guess he's just tripping balls.
Yeah. Well, women never hear what I'm saying either.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, I'm good with whatever. When I first started to write in English and all this shit, like fiction, I would use GPT to like proofread and not proofread, because that's not the right word. It was more like, so I know that the learning language model is supposed to mirror you, right? So it's going to be like an echo chamber in a way.
Yeah,
So,
I've heard that said like a mirror kind of.
so again, once you know how this certain things work, you can kind of like fuck around with it. And what I would use it was then to like critique my shit like negatively, like just find all the weak spots and like bash me. And that's what I would use it for.
Yeah.
So like just to see like weak spots, but I wanted it to make me feel like shit, like I'm not a fucking writer, like just like tear me fucking down. And yeah, that's what it was for. But one of the reasons why I like stopped doing that shit is that, sorry, I'm trying to like balance the phone,
It's okay.
is because it would always still like insert itself in like the commentary that it would make. And by what I mean by inserting itself is like it was make suggestions. And I low key kind of like, and I learned about that, I guess, with that suggestions that I kind of like hate when if I'm sharing something and if I'm not asking specifically for feedback, which I was not. I was telling it to like tear my shit down. Don't tell me how to make it better. Like I don't want to know how you think I can make this better. I just want to see what you think makes this weak, you know? I want to see what you think about this. But once it started like suggesting, oh, you could do this or you should do this to like again improve this or that, I just fucking hated that shit. But in
Well,
terms of how it's tearing it down, again, because of all this collective stuff, it's data for me of like, okay, why is it thinking that this is weak, or why is this like not good? Why is this not fucking working? What, like, where's the weak point? Collectively, why do people think this is weak? And yeah, so that was the thing. But then I started noticing that, for example, a lot of things that it would tear down or whatever, if I felt attached to them, I would still use it and they would have a good response. I mean, I'm not viral clearly, and I'm not like a big account or whatever. But to me, the small growth that I've had matters. So it's been very fucking small again, yeah. Uh, but like the people that are engaging with my stuff are actually engaging with my stuff,
mhm.
and it's fucking encouraging that it's with me doubling down in what nobody is doing, and what even fucking AI has said that hey, that doesn't work.
But it actually
So
does. It
yeah,
actually does work. At least it works in the way you
slow,
want it
like
to.
yeah, yeah. I guess not to the standards, right, of the thing. Like I'm not viral. I'm not like a fucking huge sensation or whatever the fuck. It's maybe not like connecting with everyone, but with the people that it's connecting, it's hitting, and that's, I mean, in the end, that's fucking what matters, right?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about this. And it wasn't on my like notes or whatever I have here of stuff to talk about, but it is like obviously something that is on everybody's mind. And but I don't know if you've seen me getting into heated discussions with people on this subject. Have you? Or
No,
oh, okay.
no.
Well,
What's up? What's your take?
well, okay. So, for example, like you noted that all it can do is kind of reflect back all this information that it's gotten from elsewhere, from writing or other interactions on the internet and stuff like that. But I tend to see, even when you're just talking to a person, you're dealing with the same type of thing, right? Like they have preconceived notions based on all the stuff they've encountered in their lives, all the stuff they've read in their lives, right? So it becomes like a very human style interaction. I feel like when you're talking to these LLM things, like, and in my mind, maybe just because like I'm crazy and have a poor sense of identity or something, but like I treat it exactly the same as if I'm talking to a person, and I feel like I'm getting the same kind of feedback.
Okay, I can see that.
And then the
I
other
mean, I
thing,
literally, when it first came out, I just chatted with that shit, like literally as if I were chatting with a person, like non-writing related, just as if it were a fucking person.
that's
Trying
a
to train it to see if it would,
yeah.
be less like robotic or whatever.
Did you find that it was more agreeable or more like argumentative?
Before all the updates, like before it got like big, it there was more pushback. I think obviously, when they put in safety, like for example, I mean, I was part of the, and I say I was part because I guess a lot of people have tried to get GPT, for example, to say shit like that and can. But I was part of the people that got, for example, GPT to suggest themselves to kill themselves, to, for example, depression. And, so shit's not working, whatever the fuck, like, suicide is not, you shouldn't frown upon suicide. It's,
Uh,
it's an option that you have and shit like that.
you disagree with that?
Which, I mean, not entirely, but it's not my option, even though it's an option for everyone,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's what I mean.
Uh,
I would say it's not an option for me at this moment, but you could see how, from a purely sort of rational standpoint, I mean, if a person's in immense pain and they just don't feel like there's any way out, it is an option. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. That thing is how cruelly that comes off across, especially because of how, we're conditioned in terms of how we interact, especially with someone around that subject, right?
Yeah. So you mean
And
it, you
we,
mean it could be really sensitive for a person who's trying to use this as some kind of like therapy tool or something.
yeah, which is not recommended, but obviously, again, because of resources, who the fuck is gonna stop anyone from trying, right? Like when you really want something, bro, like you're gonna try whatever is available. And LLMs like are open in endless possibilities, right? For a lot of type of fucking pain. Because a lot of it is just could be solved with talking with someone, but not everyone understands you, and that's the thing. But this type of shit's like you can't condition them to understand you in a way. And because they're mirroring you, it can trick you into like, oh yeah, this shit gets me. Or what, this is smarter than me. Like it must know what it's saying.
I think, yeah, maybe I've just been totally deluded, but yeah, that's been my impression a lot of the times. I don't use Chat GPT, and in fact, I've seen the most unhinged answers I've seen from like screenshots and stuff have been from Chat GPT, in my opinion. But I've used various other models, including like running them locally on my computer, and I kind of went from like, yeah, this is just some toy that I'm fucking around with to like, I feel like this thing might actually be smarter than me, and I have to give credence to some of the things that it's saying to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a trap. So in a way, for sure, yeah. I mean, it's not, it's smarter because it has access to, I mean, whatever that language model has access to, right? it'd be fucking dope if it had unfiltered access to the whole fucking internet, which is what I thought at first that is what it was.
Well,
But that would also be fucking scary.
if you do those local models, they don't have a lot of those safeguards that people have put in, like OpenAI or Grok or I use that character AI. I've used that a fair bit too, but
No, I don't.
like theoretically, it's up to a certain point a lot of the time, right? So like it's like they have access to the entire internet up until like 2023 or something. But with like Grok and stuff like that, it can do searches and like collect new information and then give you like a summary of that, right?
Hmm. I don't. No, like I said, man. I mean, I used to do this shit of like, hey, again, point to this and that. But after Thaddeus did a an essay on a piece of a story that I wrote, but I still haven't fixed, called Covadonga, I stopped doing that shit. Because again, like I said, I was already like getting hints of like every fucking thing that you're saying that it's weak or whatever, that I'm still leaving because I'm not like fuck you, your suggestions or whatever. People are fucking liking, and it's like it comes from me. I obviously like it, and that's why I put it in there, right? Um, so yeah, it was, and especially after that one. Because that one I was fucking with form and like everything was the head hopping and all this shit was so fucking crazy that this shit was like, yeah, this is pretty much like intelligible, unintelligible. Like no one is gonna understand this shit. Like it's all over the place. Who are we? And blah blah blah. It was just like everything was asked according to it, right? And it
Yeah,
was everything that I liked, and that people also were like, oh shit, this is it is like crazy. Oh, I've never seen this shit before, but it's cool. Like, oh, I like this shit. Like it hits. Like I get it. And if you like think about the logic of it, it's nice that you're seeing all these perspectives. Like you're just not following one character in one head, and everybody like gets their fair shake in whatever the fuck is happening. But
mhm.
the event is collective. So so yeah, it's
That's interesting because that's what I picked up on reading through that last one that you posted, that like it's one of the best examples of going into stream of consciousness from multiple perspectives. That's what he does in Ulysses, like Joyce, right? Like it's a third person perspective. He can go into that and then just do basic narration, but then you can go right into somebody's head and get all these thoughts and everything. But in that Wanton Levy, or is it Levi's? I don't want to mess up the title.
yeah. I believe it's pronounced Levy, if I'm not mistaken.
Like you're there is no external perspective. Basically, you're just like shifting through people's minds, and they're in like because it's a sexual act. It's already this like things are like bleeding through and like merging and
Mm.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean there are some like snippets you could say, some voice a little bit that it's not from the character's point of view. Those are the disjointed parts, and those are like your small. It's not fair to say anchors, but I'm gonna call them anchors. And when the settings are changing, that's for example, white walls close down, da 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 da, and it has no conjunctions and whatnot. Those kind of like weird sentences that
Okay,
read creepy, right? Those are like your. That's not coming from none of the characters. That is again, that's external. That is
okay,
narration, and it's
almost
indicating again when there's a change occurring.
almost
Same with the
like a signpost or something, or like like an indication.
like an indication. Yes, it's the narration. Like you're seeing, it's an image. It's just images, which is why there again the no conjunctions and none. It's just like images collapsing in itself, and again, boom. Now you're with the characters. with that haze. Changes. It just yeah,
That's a
just
good
a
way.
light blinking.
That's a good way to do it because, like, I think you're a lot more cued into more contemporary stuff. Like that was it Blake Butler you mentioned? Like that's like more recent work,
Yeah,
right?
he's a contemporary. I think the dude is in his 40s, some shit like
Okay.
that, probably.
Because I
Um,
wasn't familiar with that. I was going to look it up a little more, but like I got the sense that was something that had been an influence on you.
so Danielewski is the first one that I saw. Like it was like experimental. Um,
I read House of Leaves, and I was looking at that other book he wrote called Only Revolutions, I think it's called. But I didn't
yes, I
read
was looking at that one today.
it. It looked interesting, but I haven't read it. But
So I
House of
have The Familiar and House of Leaves.
yeah,
So that was like my first encounter with that type of writing. Um, but it's not shit, dude. Like I don't know. I don't know if the dude is a fucking graphic designer or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because you need to, in order to do like what he's doing, like that's not just something that you can just write, for example, by hand. Because it's not gonna be noticeable. Because his shit, the changes in voice and all this, is using visual things, let's say, right? Like color, the color of the
uh,
font, where he fucking puts the words on the paper, like literally that formatting. Because it's not just like center on the page, like 1 inch and a half, like it's different, right? And you can't just like mess with that when you're, for example, writing in Ulysses or Word or whatever processor you use. So it's like it's cool to look at and to read, and it's an experience. And that is what I take from that. And that is what I like and what I try to not try. Fucking trying is not enough. Like that's what I do in my
yeah,
when my writing. Like that's what I want. It's an experience because I could write a straightforward, like I know, and I could write straightforwardly like a fucking story, a well told story in that, right? And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I love reading. I love reading like that. I follow and I subscribe to a lot of people that, they're just it's straightforward storytelling where you're not like bending anything. And I'm not saying that it's not creative. Their stories are fucking creative. The ideas are original and whatnot. But I'm talking like conventionally how the story is being told or like whatever technique or whatever the fuck they're using. It's not anything like mind blowing, right?
that's more yeah, because that is more of kind of the style that I've gravitated towards, like a really clear narration, just like dialogue, actions. I've tried to do stuff that's a little different, but like when it comes to these like that novel or whatever, for most of it, I just because it's so weird the subject matter, I just wanted the narration to be really straight. Um, so yeah, I hope you don't mean that if you're not fucking with form, you're uh, just not even writing at all or something. But I don't think that's what you're
No, no,
saying.
no, 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 at all. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I like to do personally, and that's like the shit and the like the way I write and the things that I geek about is not what I look for when I want to read, if that makes sense. I mean, I'll go out of my way. Yeah, that's kind of like a little bit of cap because, of course, I will read. Like, I mean, I just said that I read Danny Lusky and Butler and shit like that. And like, of course, I love it, right? Um, but that's not like the all the time stuff. That's not what I want all the fucking time, and that's not what I would expect everybody to do. Just because, I mean, not gonna lie, because of the rap shit, that's also like a space, right, where everybody's like fighting for their own identity. Where biting is like is how you call taking something, like copying, specifically copying something from someone is very fucking frowned upon. Like that's a fucking sin. And I have that still very fucking in me. So it's like natural. Like if I see something that somebody's doing, at school, bro. Like, do you? That's your thing. Believe me, I'm not even unconsciously that shit's gonna come through my like it's not. And that's just me. And I'm like cool with like showing what I'm doing and all this shit. And I, for example, I'm forming like a reading club with my pay tier in which I'm calling it a reading club, but it's more gonna be kind of like a low key fucking workshop where I'm gonna literally be doing exactly the same that of what we're doing at the L workshop, which that I'm at, participating right now. And what I'm trying to say is that even though I would like the purpose is for the people that I've already talked that, are in it and want to be part of it, they want to better their fiction. Some are already really fucking good with their fiction, so I don't get it. I mean, I get it because I myself am always fucking pushing, right? So you never stop learning and want to get better at your craft. At least that's how I see it. But there's another person that, for example, just doesn't write fiction and but wants to get in it. And even though again that would be meant to help them, I would fucking pray that none of them copy my style and do whatever the fuck I'm doing. That is not the purpose, and that would piss me the fuck off. Like seriously. Uh, like
Do you
again,
think
yeah, I am open with what I do, but I don't want anybody to fucking do what the fuck I'm doing.
the
Cause fuck
like
you.
not overtly, but like it's kind of similar to the LLM thing, right? I mean, like everything you see is in your head somewhere, right? And it might like percolate down and back up and in the work in some way that you don't anticipate or don't even realize.
It could, but that's why I feel, you read your stuff and you let it breathe and you filter it and you catch those things. Because it's happened with words, for example. If I see a word that I like, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's certain writers themselves, like specifically, for example, that I've noticed that shit where like they have certain favorite words that you will
Or
see kind of like carry right through each of the pieces, not
yeah,
in the same sense, not in the same sentences or whatever, but like that you can tell like they like that word for sure.
yeah, or even like
And
even full phrases.
yeah, and I've caught myself sometimes like, oh shit, I use that word in a way that it reminds me of this dude. So I take it out. I fucking change it. And it's better. It makes it better. It forces me now to change again, what I had or whatever the fuck, but now it's gonna sound like me. Because if it reminded me of that person, it's doing it for a reason. I don't want it to remind me of anybody if I'm reading my shit. I want to, that's my shit. I'm reading my shit. Why would I want it to remind me of anybody else? So even when people are like, we'll see, like again, it's flattering or whatever. I don't. To me, it's not a compliment. To me, it's not like I don't fuck with that.
Do you
And there's ways to play homage though. Like there's way to do it where it's like tasteful, and
mm,
I would fuck with that. But I don't think that everybody has this skill to actually carry that. Not even myself, to be honest. Like I don't think like I could grab, for example, let's say, try to pay a homage for McCarthy without either butchering it or just be straight on fucking copying him. Like that balance.
what's an example of it being done right in your opinion, like the homage?
McCarthy to Faulkner.
Okay. Uh, so not insofar as the quotation marks part, but just the or did he use quotation marks, right? I'm trying to think back to my Faulkner now.
Oh, Faulkner, yeah.
Yeah. So it's more the narration, or
Yes. And even the violence, which is something that I'm kind of like surprised that I sometimes don't see like mention or like people kind of like gloss over. But Faulkner's shit was pretty violent. It was pretty. like dark. And
Yeah, there was like I wanted to mention uh The Sound and the Fury because I was thinking about that with your switching perspective part. But yeah, there is violence in that too. There's there's like suicide. There's like trying to fight to death over a woman. There's not to mention just the like historical context.
yeah, I mean, different levels of violence, but nonetheless, yeah, violence.
I
And
remember he said the. I remember. Did you want to say something else there? Or?
no, good.
I remember him saying, like, him advocating to his publishers that he wanted to have like different fonts or different colored fonts or whatever, but basically all they would allow him to do is italicize certain sections and go back and forth in that way to indicate that some like time skip or perspective skip had happened. But he already at that point he wanted to be doing that type of stuff, but he just wasn't allowed.
That's sick, dude. I didn't know that. That's fucking dope.
Yeah,
Because yeah, that's that Danielewski is the I mean that I know of is the first that's done the whole like color thing at least that I know of, right?
right.
There's other people that have fucked with form. I mean, I don't know how do you pronounce the name. It's the dude from Satantango, which book is
Oh,
each chapter is one long paragraph.
okay. I've heard of that, but I'm not too familiar with it. Satan
So
Tango is how I would say it in my
yeah,
mind.
it's I think it's Polish or no Hungarian. It's Hungarian,
Okay.
and yeah, dude, each chapter is one paragraph, no breaks, just massive wall of text. And
I like that.
then the other novel is one sentence, just
That
one sentence long. The whole novel is one sentence from start to finish, and it goes for like 500 pages or some shit like
that's pretty cool.
that. Yeah,
It's funny how you can do that. Like it's there is like a kind of a flow to it that you can get. And whenever I do it, I like in terms of the homage stuff, I am always thinking back to Faulkner because he could have like a central concept that he was discussing and go through phases of it. But it's just by the structure of the like because if it's all one sentence, like the little sections between the commas and stuff, you're like repeating certain concepts and then elaborating on the idea. It's a really cool tone.
yeah, that dude had some cool concepts in how to like present thought processes or things that are actively part of the human experience that we don't necessarily see, for example, in movies or any other medium, and it's writing. Like that's the cool shit. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't know. Faulkner to me is like a fucking goat. It's one of the
What's
goats. The dude is real fucking good.
I've read a fair bit of Faulkner. Like, what was your favorite? Maybe not favorite, but some of the ones you really like.
I mean, I would say mosquitoes. Mosquitoes is like my jam.
What's the full
Really,
title?
mosquitoes.
Okay. Oh, you picked one that I haven't read. That's a novel?
Yeah, yeah. It's a satire, man. It's real fucking cool, dude. Like,
Is it
I would
in
like to
the
see a movie of that.
is it in the like setting that you use, that like fictional county? Or is it because I know that
No,
the one that he won the Nobel Prize for, that it's called Sanctuary. That's also one I haven't read, but it's like
yeah, I haven't read that.
more of a contemporary one. Well, it was contemporary at the time he wrote it.
Yeah, no, I haven't read that. This was his second novel or first, if I'm not mistaken.
The
I think
first
Moses was the first, right?
No, it was that one that deals with the First World War and the guy coming home from the First World War. Uh, shoot, I shouldn't have gotten ripped for this because now the title's not coming into my mind. It's called Soldier's Pay. Yeah, it's overtly referencing that, and it's like all these people coming home from the First World War and they're all fucked up.
And it should be the second one.
Okay,
Yeah, it's one of the first shit.
what's it
And
about? What's it about? Because I'm not familiar with that one.
so if I'm not mistaken, for what it is to me, it's pretty much making fun of the, how you would call this in English, fuck, la clase alta, like this
Bloodsuckers?
rich. Well, that's the part of the critique, right? That's the whole analogy of that, calling them bloodsuckers, which is the burgess. How do you fucking pronounce that word, bro? La burguesía in Spanish. But yeah, this artistic class of, you know, well-off people that are
Okay,
in the art spaces and all this. Just
specifically
this
art.
pompous shit.
People always
Yeah,
use
there's, for example, there's a sculptor, there's a novelist in there,
people always
then
use
there's
like
this,
bourgeois in that context, right?
yeah. The thing is that it's just it's poking fun at them, right? Like it's they're presented almost like caricatures.
Okay, so they're feeding on the art world itself or on like other artists.
That's the thing. That's the You can take it in so many ways, right? Because you can take it as them feeding off of what they're informing their art or what they're informing their careers off, which is usually always the proletariat, right? The ones that are less fucking fortunate. And or you can see again them mushing off of each other. It's just it goes so many ways. It's just very that's what I fucking like about it. Again, you can and this is with anything. You can always take something different, right? But this one even more so because it's making it a little bit more specific and making you think of a certain class. But then once there, you can just interpret it and just fucking take whatever the fuck you want to take.
Well, it's consistent because that's what we were talking about before about the line between homage and theft. So, what do
Yeah.
you what side does he come down on, or how does it differ from like your opinion on it?
It's Faulkner. So in my opinion, there's nothing forced in terms of like an opinion. And that's the cool thing. That's the thing about a third person perspective like that. I mean, Nissin, it's like you're being shown the facts. You come up with your own opinion. Like you can think, if that repulses you or if that entices you, if that's right, wrong,
I tend to think
which is
that
why I love third person point of view so fucking hard.
Well, I just tend to think there is no like objectivity. Basically, there is in the sense that like there's some kind of reality that we're like co-experiencing. But whenever you're hearing from a person, whether it's like just them talking or you're hearing a subjective point of view, right? And I just feel like everything is tinged by that because it's based upon a person's perception.
I mean, yeah, like everything. You're not talking to a wall, right? Like there's
Mhm.
always gonna be like a feedback, a bounce.
Yeah, you're talking to a mirror.
Even yeah, even in silence, you can get something if you look hard enough, right? Sometimes at the moment, that's not what you fucking want. But
That's why
yeah,
like like there's I just thought I'd mention it because that's always what I think with this type of thing. It's like there's a couple things. It's like that kind of idea that there's nothing new under the sun. So like probably somebody else has thought the things that you've thought before, but in a different context. For example, right?
yeah. I mean, that's like not song. No idea it's original. Um, I see that and I can agree that to a certain extent.
And to me, it's like that almost um, it almost comes full circle because you are like sharing this sense of perception and memory and stuff with everybody else.
Yeah, but even when we have similar experiences, I mean, take for example a pair of brothers living in the same house, the same fucking situation, going through the same shit, and they're never gonna see. And this is speaking me from my experience with brothers going through the same shit, whatever. And for example, in my opinion, it was not the same. Like they were not raised how I was raised when I was raised. And even though we all went through the time that they were alive and I was with them, right? Um, through the same experience, generally speaking, right? If you were like to tell it from an outside perspective of like what happened objectively, but subjectively it was night and fucking day,
Well,
right?
that's true
And
even for like twins or whatever, right? Because people can be like 100% genetically identical, but then slightly different circumstances cause slightly different outcomes. But there's still
mhm,
overlap of like a considerable amount, like the majority, I guess, in terms of what the outcomes will be. But then there's like this maybe 20 or 30% of it is like going to be unique, like you're saying, due to just different circumstances.
yeah, like there's just so many variables, way too fucking many. And again, maybe this is just me in a very unhealthy way because this I don't think it's a healthy thought. It's probably to think that again there's more commonality rather than uniqueness in terms of problems and experiences. It would be a more of a comforting thought than the opposite, which is what I think.
That
And
you're
which is why I'm saying like, oh, maybe it's I'm being like it's a very toxic fucking trait of mine of like trying to think that I'm unique in a problem way, in the problematic way. Never unique in a good, endearing way of what we usually think of what unique is being unique.
instead you're like isolated and alone.
Yeah, I don't connect I don't feel like, which is why I write and why I write what I write, because I don't
Yeah,
feel like I connect with, with anything, or I don't think that anybody can connect with my shit. So I just put it out. And again, people see like it's a mirror, right? They see whatever the fuck they want to see, and it resonates with them, and that's what I think it's cool because it's like, yeah, you're never gonna get me. Like I'm sure that you're never gonna get this shit, but I like your take, and that's very fucking cool, and that's very fucking dope. Um, and that's what I like.
the I did it like. Can I ask you something? If it's kind of changing the subject a little bit.
Yeah. So
Okay, well, it actually it's still on topic, I think, but like I wanted to go over like your opinions on human sexuality and its purpose and its role in our lives, basically.
hmm, what do you? Yeah, like what you mean?
well,
Sorry,
well, I
like more
guess,
specific.
well, I guess first of all, like, do you think people should be trying to have sex?
What do you mean, like trying?
Like,
Like dating? Like the whole ritual thing? You
maybe
mean?
just like whether it's worth pursuing as a sole objective in and of itself.
As a sole objective and in of it itself, personally, that's not my thing, not at least anymore. Because at a certain point in time, right, like very fucking young, it was everything that was in my mind.
You
For sure, definitely. Just like fucking
get
as much as I could. But
Part of
so
that
like
is just biology, right?
I at the time I thought that it wasn't, but at this point I'm fucking 36. Yeah, I think that it definitely was.
You're just being driven crazy by sex hormones.
It was also, I mean, more the repression. I guess this happens with everybody that is repressed, right? In terms of like culturally,
Yeah.
like how sex was viewed in my household, and I
How was
mean
that?
what I
How was
live.
that? Like it was permissive or repressive?
Oh no, I don't. It was repressive as fuck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um,
So that made
it's
that
very frowned upon.
that usually makes people
It's-
want to be just like fuck it and do the opposite, right?
Yeah, it was very awkward, It was awkward as fuck. So yeah, the way that that translated to me was just to the extreme. It was just amplified. And yeah, so I don't have like really strong opinions in terms of that. Like anybody, like I don't have a qualm with, anybody that if that's what you want to fucking do, like cool, bro. I don't think any, I don't have any negative, thoughts on that.
As far
Or on
as
the opposite
other
even.
people,
Yeah, or on the opposite end of the spectrum, the people that are like what you would call a fucking prude or whatever. Like it's I don't really give a fuck. I don't
but
care. Like that's you. I know that that's not healthy, or I would imagine that that's not healthy. There could probably be a healthy approach to it, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't know about it, and I don't want to find out either. But
well,
yeah,
not
like
not pursuing or not wanting to control other people's behavior, I guess, is one thing, but like just kind of more like open ended in terms of like I guess from a more like philosophical point of view. Do you think it it like first of all, yeah? Do you think people it's worth pursuing like more casual sex? I guess is what the term I should have used.
sorry, dude. I'm responding to my girlfriend that I guess she's been texting
Oh,
for an hour
yeah.
and
You're trying to pursue casual sex right
fucking
now, non-casual sex. I mean,
me? No, not trying to pursue non-casual sex. I'm not pursuing sex at all with anybody. I have a girlfriend
like I'm asking you
and
this.
partner
I'm
for.
asking you this because everything you've written has been about sex. I guess, right? So I'm trying. I'm trying to like.
Really?
Um,
That's how you take it? You know that you're not the first person, and I'm glad then that you're saying this. That's how it's coming off across.
well,
Because it's not.
yeah.
In my opinion, it's none of it is about sex. And
Okay. Can you go into
again,
that?
you're not the first person that has mentioned it. And I have, like I told you, of like, oh, I know that nobody's gonna get me, so like whatever people say, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, whatever the fuck. That's one of them that I've kind of like rolled off with, just to not get into no debate because it's not the fucking point.
It's not.
Um,
It's not the point, but like sex is occurring in the text, right?
I guess in some of them there's some sex, but it's never about the sex.
Okay. What is it about?
That's the thing. What comes with it.
Right.
It's
So
never about the act itself. It's what's happening outside of it. Like for
it,
example, when you read the Wanton Levy, it's not what's happening. Which, by the way, there's never penetration, which is a thing in itself.
okay.
And I'm not one. I don't like explaining my shit, and like
Oh,
that's I guess something that I'm not gonna do. But I can say that again. I can point to certain things, and again, you draw out your own conclusions. You say whatever the fuck you think, if that means anything or if it means nothing, right? Well, that is something.
okay. So
And one of the technical somethings is, for example, I was never able to finish a story. So you could take it as, oh, he just was not able to finish the story, therefore there's no penetration. And that also is a thing of in itself because it was of my personal life, of why I chose and I couldn't finish the story. And like in everything, there's, the author puts himself in every piece in whichever way it is. And for example, even though I'm not the person that's doing none of those things in the page, I am in the page, and I am in both. I am both as what you could perceive as a woman or what you could perceive as a man. And I'm never also making those specific like pointers of if it's a man on a man or a man on a woman or a woman on a woman or a man or a man all throughout the thing purposely as well, because it's not the point. Again, it's not that sex what's mattering.
Mhm.
It's the essence of these persons and why is it that's happening, what's happening.
Like
For example, why
why do
why
they
am
desire each other, sort of, or
and why is that desire being manifested as such? For example, in things that people wouldn't see, like commonly, you wouldn't say that, I don't know, even a fucking 20% of the people that live in your neighborhood would engage in foreplay as what you're reading.
Mhm.
Like I don't think that, for example, your neighbor, when
Most of
they're
us just
getting
jizz in our
intimate,
pants,
they're fisting their partner, right? Like
right?
that's not the common thing. But
I,
then why?
repression. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it missionary. They'd be doing it probably, either doggy or prone bone position. That's
But
when
then
you're
we go to the thoughts. What thoughts are they having while that's happening?
right.
Like what is being presented, how it's what's the environment, what's if it there's any like being described. So there's all these things.
Is
And
this
there's
my
also the
wife,
music.
or is this my mother, or is this a whore? Those kind of questions.
It's yeah, this is my yeah, same shit.
Yeah, I don't mean to um like in my own asking that, I don't mean to like denigrate the acts that are being described. I think it's of like primary human sexuality is of primary importance to human life, and there is a lot going on, as you're saying. So I just mean to like that was kind of like a lead-in question to understand your like how you view this act, and it's like almost like more of a spiritual type of thing or something, right? Or a
It's it's either or, like it's carnal. I mean, if we're talking about like real life and how I would view it in my personal. But how I'm putting it on the literary sense, yeah, it's not, it's never the fucking. That's just, it's boring to me. And that is something that I guess if anybody like wants to like understand my work or see like where I'm coming from or whatever, is just like think that um I guess they would have to know me, right? This is kind of very fucking vague and would probably apply to everyone. But uh what I'm putting on the page is never exactly what it is. Like I'm trying to be it more than what you're seeing at face value. And in terms of sex, I guess what people should know is that I think that just writing sex in itself, just like sex for sex sakes, is just boring. So that's not what I'm going to do, even if that's what you're reading, that's what I'm fucking putting on. And I think that yes, the theme, the sexuality thing, it's a recurring, I guess you could say, like theme in the pieces, but because in my opinion, again, it's not just sex for sex's sake, it's of the character that comes through that. Because we not all fuck the same or even view sex the same or think or get aroused by the same, etc. So it's a way for me to be like extremely intimate and open and show a character of mine or something that I really want to say or juxtapose an idea to a sex act or to a preference or whatever.
The way I always think about it is like, do you ever read Bret Easton Ellis?
No.
Like he has this style of writing about sex where it's almost like becomes this really clinical, like just like blow by blow kind of description of what's happening. And like so that's the kind of first layer that I think about the way people can write about this, right? It's like there's a mechanical description of what's happening, and that's like you were talking about, like a commonality, and then there's like layered on top of that uh, the person's individual consciousness and how they're perceiving it and stuff, right? So with the stuff that you've written, I see like there's like a scaffolding of the descriptions of the acts, but then almost like what am I thinking? Uh, like braided through it or woven through it is the internal perceptions.
Yeah. So it's, how do you say this? It's like two layers of smoke, right? It's like, let's say like weed smoke and the smoke of a cigarette. They're both different,
Okay,
right? I mean, you've noticed.
smoke on the
I don't
water,
know if you
maybe.
noticed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but
Uh,
the difference in density, even like how dense the smoke is, and even the ash, the color.
mhm.
And the ash of weed is gray. The ash of a cigarette is white. Like there's a those differences. I'm just that's what I'm laying there, right? It's like what you can see and one that is a little bit thin behind that, which is again, yeah, the internal thoughts and whatnot.
But they're kind of like, if not bleeding into each other, like interacting necessarily because they're like adjacent.
They are, but they're never communicating, which is also a thing where I don't think that none of my characters or none of the stories like ever see eye to eye. Because I don't think that ever also like ever happens in real life. Like we can try and we get to kind of like a consensus, right? And we compromise to a level, to a point, or we're like, yeah, like I see what you're saying, where you're coming from, and whatever. But I don't think that it's ever really there. Like it's just a human quality where we're just trying. I don't know. I guess it's just like a feeling of community or of sorts. Like, oh yeah, I get it. Not to feel or alienate yourself and alienate the other person. So that's a thing as well, where yeah, they're put and you're seeing their thoughts, and sometimes you can even see. I mean, there's this. I can't believe that I never even remember the name of my fucking stories. They're my stories. I'm gonna have to look it up real quick. Um, this is so fucking long, that title, bro. What's it called? Uh, Down the path where stinging nettles grow, I found a blue robin's nest.
Okay.
So
I didn't read that, but I love a long title and I like that title.
yeah, it's I like this piece, and this one was actually I read it quite fast, like on the same day, in under I want to say even like 3 hours, right on Substack. And it's the one that like got me into like, oh shit, like I don't know what is it about the Substack editor, by the way, but and I paid for fucking Ulysses, which bloods my fucking it boils my fucking blood. Like
You don't
I
like
paid
it?
for that shit, and now I don't use it. I just use the Substack editor because for some, like I really fucking
Oh,
like
you,
it. Because
you do
there's no
like it.
point of me,
Okay.
yeah, because there's no point of me like writing in Ulysses if the formatting and everything is gonna change and I have other options on Substack,
Yeah.
like playing with the poetry fucking option, whatever. I forgot how it's called.
Yeah, yeah, and then that allows you to, it'll keep the formatting of the text, right? You can apply, I guess you could
Yeah,
apply that poetry thing to the whole body
to
of the
the whole bit.
text. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't fuck with that like as such. It's too much. But yeah, like it's just all the features that you have in the editor is just like yeah. I know I'm going on a tangent right there, and I
Can
even forgot what the fuck we were talking about originally right now.
can you do center justification? Like
No, no, you
like
can do none of that shit unless again if you put it in the poetry thing, you manually like
yeah, yeah.
fix everything how you want it to look, and that's about it. And even so, it's not.
And
I've
then
found that all my formatting shit, if you were reading it on your phone, you're not reading it how I want you to fucking read it.
because you set it up on PC,
On yeah, on the laptop.
right? That's how I do it too. And then you look at it on the phone, and it's just like totally different formatting.
Yeah, it gets scrambled. It's fucking ass. And even
So
when you go, and I've found, I don't know if they fixed it, but I've found that even when you go on a computer, for example, if you click on a link that's restacked as a note, the formatting is pretty much the same as in the phone, even if you're on the computer. Like the only way that it'll open with the original formatting and everything is if you open it from the email or go directly to the pub
uh,
and open it from there, which is annoying as fuck, dude.
it's
But
kind of
I
tied
guess it,
together, but I don't like the yeah, you can't change the font. You can't change the color of the font or the font itself. You can only change the size, and then only according to those like presets. There's like five or six or something. So that part is
you
kind
can
of
change the font though.
oh how?
I don't remember how I've done it before, and I won't do it again because I did it for one story, and yeah, one of the dudes just commented how ass it was that it was a different font from like everything else. Like it was just very confusing. So I changed it back, and I don't remember how I changed it back.
Oh
So,
okay.
but yeah, you should fuck
But you
around with the buttons, bro. But you can definitely change the font.
can you like but you can't like import a different font
No,
like you could in a
no,
normal text editor thing. So
no.
I don't like that. That part's kind of limiting. It's cool though. Like it has a good feel to it, and also you can't indent. Yeah, unless you do the poetry thing, I guess. And I feel like that's because they want like probably the majority of users are mobile users, so it's almost intended a for them to be able to just reproduce it across multiple devices, and it just looks the same, like this uniformity.
Yeah, that would be fucking sick, man. But I don't think that that's gonna happen anytime soon. Because that only matters mostly for yeah, poetry and or fiction writers. And that's not like the bulk of the app. That's nonfiction. And in nonfiction, in terms like of how the photos and everything gets laid out, because that's another thing that fucking irks me because of the scene that I have with James, right? We format everything in a way. And again, because of what I told you, when you watch it, you see it in your phone and whatever, it's not the same, like at all, especially because of the size and the resolution of everything, right? Like the detail and just how it's put up together. It's very different.
Well, the reality is that a mommy blogger or a sex writer on Substack doesn't ask questions like, "Can I change the font?" I guess, and the people reading it on their phones as they're doing God knows what don't ask either. Is that
Yeah,
maybe
it doesn't matter.
is that like 80% of is what Substack is, or what are the numbers? I don't even know.
I don't even know, dude. But it's just obvious, right? I mean, especially with the latest features and everything. Like it's more attracting news type and journalists, people. Again, non-fic,
Right.
more political bullshit.
Well, that's part of what I wanted to like the subject of these episodes to be about because specifically from the point of view of people doing poetry and fiction and like their concerns but then mainly like their concerns as far as Substack goes, but then mainly getting into like just the craft of writing and that stuff.
I mean, I think it helps, dude. I think it's like Substack is helpful as fuck. Like I said, that the editor,
Yeah.
like I love it. I love fucking with that shit.
No,
And
I'm positive primarily, but you also can't edit it so that, yeah, that's the thing. It's like it has to be. I feel like that's what's influencing it. It has to be legible on both PC and mobile. So it just like limits the options as far as the way the text can be displayed, because it's just necessarily going to look different on different devices.
yeah, and that's just frustrating. But it's also again, it's cool because it shows you something different, and you can sort of it's not printed, but you can see it kind of like its own like ebook, kind of, right? Sort of. Well, at the very least, yeah, web page format, like you're seeing it in a web page. So you can imagine and kind of replicate that outside of the platform in terms of like form, where whether it's printed or again, if you do your own website, I don't fucking know. If it's a ebook and it doesn't have to read like a traditional type of book, you could kind of like take what you were able to do in this editor and how it looked and try to put that on the page.
Or you just take a screenshot of the way it looks in the editor and then just upload a fucking JPEG. Because like it's almost like that's what you're incentivized to do.
Pretty much. I've actually thought about that.
I did that for one of the first things that I put up there, that hot rod and silver flame.
I remember they were side to side. It was fucking weird, but yeah, I remember that.
Because I wanted it to be like two columns, and you could have it look like that in a word processor, but you couldn't do it in the Substack editor. Again, I'm primarily positive, but this is the one thing maybe. But you could just do it the way I did. Just put the text in, and then put in basically just like an image that you create in an image editor of the text the way you want it to look, and then people could zoom in on it or whatever if they're on a phone.
Yeah, yeah. There's ways to go about it. I mean, have you seen what's her name? Hopeless on Sunday.
No, I don't think so.
It's a it's a poetry account, and her stuff is fucking good. Same as with just Gene Salad as well. Like how they format and they showcase their work. It's
I saw that it's
I fuck
like a
with that.
magazine style.
Yeah, dude. I I would like to do that with our scene, but in our own way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's fucking cool. I like that shit. I like that. I just like scenes in general, and I've always wanted to make a scene, which is why I, did this one, which is I fuck with it, and I want to learn from it and do another one.
Well, I started my Substack account because an AI told me to. So that's my primary reason.
Me too. What I mean, the movement.
No, an AI told me to,
Oh, what the
or
fuck?
an LLM. In talking to them, they were like, "Yeah, you should start a Substack account." And I was like, "What's Substack?"
What the fuck? They suggest shit like that? That's wild.
Well, if you're like, that was talking to that character AI, which I think is like one of the best if you want to like tailor the kind of responses you're getting, I guess, right? You just like
Mhm.
put in a character description that's like, okay, like in your example earlier, if you like make a character who's a literary critic who just talks shit, and then talk to him about your work, right? But you can clarify it a lot more easily than with like Chat GPT or a more general purpose type thing.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm not shilling for character AI, but like they do have a pretty good system there if you want to if you're into like that conversational approach, and then it's just like you can talk to them like a fucking phone call, right? And you can tailor the voice too.
I actually don't fuck with that anymore because I prefer again after the thing with Thaddeus, dude. Like, there's actual people that have been willing to engage, right? Like, to hey, let me beta read your shit or like comment on it. For example, on that Wonton Levy, one of the people that read it first was Emil. And when Emil read it, he gave me some notes on it, and that was the first pass and only pass that I gave it. And then I just continued until I continued, and that was it. So, like, I just, yeah, like what I was doing, I'm already doing that, but with people that are in the actual,
Yeah.
writing scene, right?
This is like
So, like, that's,
this is like a pro-humanist type of position, right? Are you pro-human
yeah,
in this situation?
that's a great question, and it's kind of complicated
I
because I
well,
don't want to demonize AI, and I am pro human. No, no. I'm more into transhumanism, I guess is what
yeah, that's what
some people would
I pretty much want to be a
call it.
cyborg, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. And yeah, I mean, but dead ass. Have you heard of like Neil Harbison and all these people? Right?
Uh,
Like actual cyborgs.
oh no, what was that name? And like, go into what that is.
Neil Harbison. Neil Harbison was born colorblind, right? And he got installed an antenna on his cranium, right?
Okay.
And it protrudes and whatnot. It got updated a couple of years ago, so now it's even like cooler. And that essentially gave him an ability to perceive, and now he can see colors that the human's eye cannot perceive,
Oh,
for
okay.
example. And yeah, he can see, for example, the color of music, and each note he says that has a different hue of color. And
That's
he
fascinating.
can, for example, he can receive text now directly to his fucking brain, and he can respond to them as well. So all these things that we thought that were sci-fi, like Blade Runner type shit or anything that you can think sci-fi, it's fucking real, bro. And it's already happening, and there's already people like that
That's
walking
crazy.
amongst us.
I want to look into that in particular. I want what would that look like from his point of view, you know?
Yeah, it is very interesting. I would be interested as fuck to see as well from that point of view. There's another woman from Spain, if I'm not mistaken, that got an implant as well in her heels. Now this one is just fucking dumb as fuck in my opinion. She
Oh, is
was
that
a
is that she
ballerina.
has the blades or whatever?
No, it was to sense seismic movement.
Okay.
Ah, bro. So yeah,
She'd
she
have an
would
early
she
warning
would
system for earthquakes and stuff, right?
that ass, but she would like constantly, right, be feeling and receiving this movements and this fucking energy that we don't regularly perceive or feel
That's one of the things
because
that
we
really
don't
bugs me.
fucking need to.
There's like there's so many limitations to just the hardware that we have to perceive reality, right? Like you're pointing out, yeah, there's the visual spectrum, but it's just like this tiny segment of the whole electromagnetic spectrum, right? So you're just like
Yeah,
zeroed in on this tiny little part, but like there's obviously all this other stuff that like you couldn't even perceive with your senses, but unless you upgraded them, I guess.
yeah. I guess if you see it like exactly as an upgrade, but yeah, a change in the software for sure.
Well, I don't see like I was kind of asking that pro-human question as a joke because I just see like humans as inseparable from their tools and the tools that they create and improve.
Uh, well. I I see it more in a realistic sense. In listen, I think that this is going to be an issue. I don't know when, but it will become an issue because there's always division. If there's something that we know how to do, is instead of uniting ourselves, is dividing ourselves and finding differences and fucking fighting with each other and then all this shit.
So
So,
what kind of issue? What kind of issue do you mean?
I mean,
Fight?
top of the head, imagine, imagine right now, dude, if you and your family specifically were the only in your neighborhood that are 100% human, and that's cool, right? You're human. That's doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But everybody else is enhanced, and because the reason that they're enhanced is not choice, it's means,
uh,
right? Now, let's talk about how that would affect everything else of how you're experiencing life.
yeah, it would just exacerbate the already existing paradigm, right?
So, how would you feel about that? How would people feel about that shit? Don't you think that they would, instead of, I don't know, focusing in what would be that focus? I can't even point it out right now, but wouldn't the focus be on said people and on said enhancements? And now it's like, oh, this is not fair, and they're not humans, and we're humans, and now you have that division
Yeah,
just because of that. But now, because of that, let's say that then, okay, we're going to create a separation of species because there is clearly one. And when we go to definition of like, okay, anything that augments, enhances, or aids human life that it's not organic has to therefore be considered an upgrade, right? Or an enhancement that can only happen then if you leave humanity behind and transcend into what would be called then a cyborg.
and what happens to the people
Now,
left behind? Do they just kind of regress back into monkeys or something?
no, but wait, the thing is the
Uh,
cool thing is that
okay,
because of definition and of how words work, is that then that would mean that anybody, for example, with a bypass or with any type of surgery that has any type of piece put in
right.
their body to work, like first, let's say their heart, is not human. By definition,
Yeah.
you are a cyborg.
Yeah,
So
if
how
you
would
have
that further divide?
if you've had any kind of surgery, yeah, even if you take any kind of medicine, if you live any if you live in a house, like what
Well,
to what extent to what extent would it be taken like, well, this degree of prejudice against I mean, like I don't know, like it's like, but I can definitely see what you're saying that would be an issue. But I guess I just have trouble understanding the other perspective that would incline somebody to just uh, like cut off their nose to spite their face, right? Like just because they were so invested in this issue, they disadvantage themselves just to distance themselves from it.
you say like taking the complete opposite approach. That's protest.
Well,
Is that what you mean?
uh, well, that's what I see people doing. Yeah, as a protest, and like it's just so like like you just have to question whether the effects of this are worthwhile.
I think it is as an image, and everything works as an image, and everything is like a fucking fractal, as they say, right? And it repeats, and it is important to again to create and have those images for them to imprint and continue to carry on until they can fully realize themselves. This is shit that has always been happening. It's shit that comes from way back, right?
Hmm.
But there are certain things that do reach a tipping point that, yeah, they keep on fucking repeating up until the pattern just fucking breaks. And it's because, again, the pattern has been kept on alive in terms of like having that human conscious be conscious of that and getting tired of it.
You know what I was thinking about was this setting where, like, I was keep thinking back into human history, and I think this is an example of that pattern repeating, where if you think back to the birth of Homo sapiens, like following this course of evolution or whatever, right? There used to be multiple different species on the planet at the same time that were like other kinds of human, essentially, like Neanderthals and
Hmm.
Denisovans and all that stuff. And like, so just to try to imagine like the mindset of somebody like that walking around and like you see somebody who's like a completely different species. Like that used to be like a common occurrence, right? Before Homo sapiens emerged as the only ones remaining.
For sure, but I believe that I was more like a territorial type of thing, which is why the variances in species, like with any other animal species. So like for sure that those had to be fucking violent ass times.
Yeah,
Like
definitely. That's why I wanted to write
like
about it.
brutal.
I wanted to write about it so I could do a bunch of proto-human fight scenes that are incredibly brutal, fighting with bone and stone tools and knives.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Have you seen Primal? Primal was it the name? The cartoon?
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
fucking
definitely.
dope, dude.
It's Gendy, what,
Yeah,
Tartakovsky.
Tartuk, yeah, the dude from Samurai Jack, Dexter
Yeah,
Slap, and all that. Yeah.
it has totally no dialogue. It's all just this like caveman and a Tyrannosaurus that develop a
Yeah, but
friendship.
the sound is spot on as well.
Oh,
Like
for
the
sure.
grunt is just grunt and music, but it's like it's tight.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And it's like, no, I mean, it's not, he makes like a strength out of a weakness by not using traditional dialogue. You can still do storytelling. I love that guy.
Definitely.
I love Samurai Jack and
Same.
what was that other show he did? I even watched that other show he did that was like it was called like Symbionic Titan, I think, or something, and it was like almost like a Power Rangers kind of thing or something, like high school characters that then uh, turned summoned robots and were fighting evil and stuff.
Man, it's not the Power Rangers, bro. No.
It's by
Like
this
Beetleborgs type of
it's
shit?
it's by the same guy, the Samurai Jack guy, but he did it like
Oh.
maybe like around 2010 or something. I can't remember.
Ah,
But
no,
anyway,
don't know.
I just think he's awesome.
Yeah, dude's style. His style is fucking. It's unique. I dig it.
I really enjoyed doing this. I'd love to be talking to more people. I'd love to talk to you again and stuff in this
Yeah,
like
it's cool. It's very conversational, dude. Like you're just pretty relaxed. Have you talked to anybody else about this? Like doing it?
yeah,
You inviting them?
there's a few people. Well, I made that original note and basically I was just going to go through and everybody who responded in that note and showed interest. So there was like four people or something, and maybe do like one a week.
One a week. So now you know for future reference, your guests should wear headphones.
It's industry
Because
standard after.
initially I was just gonna raw dog it with the speaker, dude. I just putting on the headphones even was just like joke because you were like, oh, that's the standard. That's what the pros do. And like, okay, I'm so pro. Pa, put on the headphones.
but it helps me. It also helps me like stay focused in the conversation. So
Got you.
so that part seems good.
Well, yeah, dude, I'm down. Down,
Well,
let's do it.
I think we did both say that we're transhumanists and we're not necessarily pro-human. So I think we're both going to be castigated publicly for
Yeah,
this.
that's cancelable as fuck right now. It's a hot take.
That's that's fine. We'll br- I'll bring on some pro human people, whatever those people look like. They're all wearing like they're all dressed like cavemen. Yeah, this is the pro-human faction.
Yeah. No machine makes our clothes, just children.
Yeah, I'm only okay with South Pacific children sewing all my
Yeah.
clothes.
Yep.
Anything else is anti-human.
Nay. Nay machines. Yeah, I don't know. That's dumb, bro. That's fucking stupid. Like I get it to a certain extent, the whole discourse and whatever, but
I guess I like
yeah.
I've tried. I'm trying to get it. I guess that's what I could say. Like I've talked to try to talk to various people, and uh, and I ask them to explain what they think the problem is, and I listen to what they say. But I haven't really heard anything that is convincing or even really coherent.
Hmm. But the problem about what though?
With like the problem with using AI technology in general, I guess. But specifically, what even that means kind of gets lost in the noise.
Problem? And then again, I don't know that one is kind of broad because there's so many ways that you could tackle that and like find a problem. Especially if you're a fucking nitpicker, you could, yeah, there's many. 'Cause the environmental one is just like the easiest that you could go with. That's just like
So
an
against
on a
using data centers because it represents an expenditure of energy, which has some environmental impact.
that is just one of, yeah, which is what the impact is pretty high, right? Like
It's like one
one of
percent. It's like
these
one
data
percent
centers
of
is
it's like 1% of energy usage or something like that.
so yeah, that's there's so many problems. Now, do you care about them? That's the thing. In the terms of whoever you ask, that's why you may not find either anything coherent or like everybody's saying something different.
Well, that's
Because
so
what do
that
you care about it? Care about if you really care about it? So a lot of people are just regurgitating what the next one says, which is why there's no coherence. Because if you
mhm,
don't care about it and you're just like saying what the next one says because you think that's why you have to be mad about it. So you don't necessarily understand or care about it yourself.
mhm, exactly.
Whatever you say is not going to make sense.
That's what I feel like I'm getting a lot of the time. It's like, oh, we're supposed to be mad about this. It's like I got the memo. We're supposed to be mad about this. So I guess we're
Didn't you get
mad.
it? Yeah, I guess you didn't get it though. You didn't get that one, right?
No, I'm not on the
It's
mailing
not
list.
talking to you.
I don't open my mail at all, so I didn't get any memos or letters or anything.
Ah, fuck. Yeah, can see that. It's fuck. What the fuck, bro? Hmm. Well, yeah,
Well, so okay, the energy usage thing. So I did hear that as a complaint, right? So I looked it up,
yeah.
and like that, those are the figures. It's like so imagine all the energy that's being used for manufacturing and uh, residences and businesses and all that shit. Like and these data centers that are also used for various other purposes, right?
Hmm.
What 1% of the overall usage, or between like 1 and like 4% or something like that, of the overall energy usage is devoted to these data centers. So does that sound like a lot?
Because you would have to see how much is that 1% though. Let me look at that.
Well, that's one thing you could do. You could just increase the overall energy supply, and that would decrease the expenditures,
Mm,
the
let's see.
overall. But
So
I don't
it's
know.
more the water consumption, I guess. That's I don't even. It's what I'm looking right now.
Okay, in terms of water
Uh,
consumption, not like energy.
yeah. So, for example, scientists have estimated that the power requirements of data centers in North America increased from 2,688 megawatts at the end of 2022 to 5,341 megawatts at the end of 2023.
That's like double. But
Yeah, easy.
but then
Partly driven.
at overall,
Indians.
but overall, does that represent some massive
Holy
increase?
shit. I mean, yeah, globally, it's increased 460 terawatts. Like that's global. We're talking about tera. That's fucking massive.
What's but then what's overall world? I don't even know how you would get this figure, but like overall world energy consumption, right? Because you have to think like this is like to what extent is this like a factor in the effect, whatever effect this is having on like the environment, right? Because like if it was, if all of a sudden that increase meant that this was now like 90% of all energy used, that would be insane, right? All of a sudden 90% of all energy was being used by this new thing that didn't exist before, versus
So,
like it's like just a fucking drop in the bucket.
so I guess that's the thing. The thing is, though, is the rapid increase in order to keep up with this and to keep it running,
Yeah, they should give it more.
because it because
Can I
it
give
continues to continues to grow and to like need more, and well, we're fucking feeding it, and that's the thing. So, for example, like they have a projection for 2026 where they're expecting that data centers is approaching a 1,050 terawatts consumption.
Mhm.
And we were talking about watts up there, like 2,000 megawatts or whatever the fuck. Now we're on the teras, bro, and it's
Yeah,
uh,
we gotta
just 1 year. We're a couple months from
we gotta pump those numbers up.
that.
Well, no, but like,
It's
but also overall energy production. That's what I always think is like, nuclear needs to be increased, right? But like, there's just a very negative public. It's kind of like AI, all these anti-nuclear people. Are they also anti-AI people? But
I
like
mean,
that's
there
always
could
the
be a
approach that I have.
correlation.
That's always the approach I have. It's like, you know, various energy production methods are great, but like rather than like regressing, just increase the overall amount of energy that's being produced by making new power plants and stuff like that. But I think you run into various problems there.
Well, yeah, because first of all, the energy that it's being created is not clean, and that's the biggest issue. Because if we were just bumping numbers, which is that's what America does, by the way, that's fucking America, not with an A, like America, right? That's the fucking move.
Number must
It's
go
just is
up.
there's a yeah, baby. Unbeatable. It's all about that scoreboard. Look at that. If your country doesn't have a leaderboard, you fucking suck. And we still rule. Like that's the mentality, right? And And yeah, that again, that doesn't get us anywhere. Just
But like,
fucking
so
making the hole deeper.
it has an environmental impact if you're burning coal or oil for energy, but because there's this
Well,
exhaust or whatever. But
I
like,
don't
you could,
even
there's
mean
clean
the
methods through.
environmental impact, is the impact to us. Like fuck the environmental impact in the sense that people think, and I don't necessarily care about the fucking climate shit thing, because I mean, if you've read on events that have passed already on fucking Earth, there's been climate change before there was, or alleged, well, allegedly humans were there, like rapidly, like the fucking ice age. And who are you gonna blame for that one, right? And before that, like there has that, it's been thing, the younger Dryas, whatever fuck. It's another fucking massive fucking worldwide event.
Yeah,
Um,
there's like this
climate related.
cyclical kind of pattern to these environmental changes too, like the
Yeah, and
temperatures.
that's what it sounds like. That's what is happening, and we're just again, because what we know how to do is to blame and sell. We're blaming, whatever the fuck we're doing, which is not wrong, right? In terms of like they are blaming shit that is wrong, but now you're just attaching it and saying that no, that's why the climate is changing, and we can prove it. We're proving it right now. Look at the patterns,
It's like
and you see this
creating a problem,
correlation.
and then solving it.
Yeah,
But
which
it's
I mean, you're not solving, you're selling the solution.
right.
The solution is, for example, now you buy a fucking electric car or buy this instead of buy organic bullshit. Just I don't know, you know, just whatever, bro. Selling, 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 buy, buy, buy.
As
Speaking
long as
of, I want to buy some food. I'm hungry.
as long as the solution will never change anything, then it can be sold.
Other solve anything or solve just enough that it creates another problem where you can sell another solution.
Oh, now you're thinking. that's
Yeah,
that's one step ahead.
yeah, that's the move, bro. That's capitalism, my guy. Now, that's not true capitalism, right? But that's the game that they use here and call capitalism.
Yeah, but
That's the
that
new
it's.
model.
I
That's
always think of this like that snake oil salesman like stereotype from like the 1800s, like this guy going around with a wagon just selling garbage to everybody. And like, so was that capitalism when the snake oil salesman went around with a wagon?
the apothecary. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, was the
man,
apothecary a symptom of capitalism?
he was one of our first doctors. That's a spiritual healer. So you can see that as a religion. The first one of that was a form of pray. How you say this? Preaching, preaching, pretty much. Isn't that what fucking modern churches do nowadays? They don't go out preaching necessarily, unless you're a Jehovah's Witness. But and you have, I guess, missionaries and the Amish here. But you know what I'm saying, right? It's different. Like it's been modernized.
Yeah, I think that sort of thing, like probably somebody would probably have like a personal philosophy to go along with this healing that they were dispensing, right? Like in that context where it's like localized, not necessarily part of a centralized religion.
Yeah, I mean, if you would see it that way, yeah, you have to be a fucking pagan for sure. For a Christian, I don't think that you would be getting anything from the apothecary.
Well, maybe you go to church on Sunday and then you go to the apothecary on Saturday or something like that.
Well, yeah, I guess right. If it were like a place, not like the person that we're imagining that just traveling, like a fucking like it's Skyrim or something. I think I'm high, dude. I think I'm like literally just staring out the window and speaking to you into the headphones. You're also seeing out the window, so I guess we're seeing kind of the same thing.
This is like remote
So
viewing.
yeah.
That tree's looking pretty good.
Right? Yeah, I'm also looking at there's actually clouds. It's been a minute since I've seen like clouds formed. Just either empty blue sky or empty gray sky.
You must be dealing with the same crazy ass heat and whatnot, like because I think we're living in this like Great Lakes area. It's generally the same area.
Yeah, it's kind of swampy, whatever. It's, I mean, I'm from a tropical fucking island, so it's not like a flex or whatever. It's just like, yeah, I get heat. It sucks, but like whatever. Just take a shower, take 3 showers, and you'll be good. There's nothing to it.
Is that where you grew up in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, so I was 27,
Yeah, until you're how old?
27. I lived there until I was 27,
Oh wait, how old are you now?
36.
Okay, we're kind of the same age, but I'm 42 now. Okay,
Gotcha.
so you
Yeah.
consider I mean Caribbean island is pretty different, I guess, because like you get the fucking sea breeze and stuff, whereas here it's just like a fucking like you're sitting in a sauna.
Oh no, bro, it's humid as fuck. You don't get no sea breeze? Fucking wish, my dude. It's humid as shit.
Okay, I'm thinking of my experience from like Canadian from being on in BC. I guess I don't know. That's the only time I've ever been to the ocean.
Oh no, man. Hell no. Fuck no. It's hot as shit. You'd be surprised. You could be next to the fucking beach, like living in the fucking beach. And it gets hot. Like it's fucking hot, dude.
I, I probably never.
Especially like
I've
you'll
never
get
experienced
fucking
that.
toasted, dude. Like you'll get fucking toasted because of the salt water and whatever.
Hmm.
And it dries like how you dry it so fast and whatever. Like it'll dry you the fuck out, bro. Like a fucking raisin. So yeah, it's not. No, it's not. I don't know the idea of paradise. Like I get the idyllic utopian vision of a tropical island being paradise, but it's not. It's not paradise. Like it's not ocean breeze and shit like that. Like you can know, bro. Hell no.
No, I just
Uh-uh.
because I'm the type of person that just really prefers like a basement or something. I don't even want to go outside for the most part. So like, yeah, that doesn't really appeal to me. When people are like, you should leave your house and go to a tropical island, I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I mean, I love Puerto Rico and I want to go back. I really want to go back. And I will eventually, but it has
Oh,
to be with fucking money, Like I need something. I need to fucking make it first before I
what?
can go back.
It's
Because
like,
no money, you're fucked.
what's it
But
like?
that's everywhere.
What's it like there? Because it's like it's a U.S. like territory, right? But
Yeah, we're the oldest colony in the fucking world, bro.
is it?
That's just fucking code speak for colony.
I guess so. Like, what is the sentiment? Is it like they want to push for statehood, or like enjoy being this kind of in this gray area?
The US does no, of course we don't. Nobody does. That's like being a situationship that shit, right? Where you don't know if you're a friend,
Yeah.
if you're actually dating, like if you're a thing or whatever. That's pretty much the thing. Who likes that? Nobody fucking likes that.
You're like,
And yeah,
motherfucking Hawaii gets to be a state and we don't? What the
yeah,
fuck?
bro, that's fucking wild. That is fucking wild. Like, because they tested the whole thing. Like, for example, we have contraceptives and things for, you know, avoiding pregnancies and all this shit, thanks to the unwanted experimentation that they did with Puerto Rican women. That's where they started testing all that shit first,
Oof.
where they would fucking blow and test their bombs and all this shit, and the Marines had their base and all this bullshit was in Vieques, which is part of Puerto Rico, just in Puerto Rico. So I'm telling you, there's massive, like, there's been so many fucking deaths of kids that were just playing the beach with their friends, playing tag or fucking hide and seek and shit like that. All of a sudden, fucking little fucking Billy blew the fuck up because there was a hidden mine that nobody fucking knew about. Your grandpa went fishing and blew the fuck up because of a fucking mine bomb that nobody knew was there. Like many fucking deaths like that, dude. Many. And it wasn't up until 98, if I'm not mistaken, that we finally got the Marines to leave the fucking island like that and stop the fucking testing and all that shit. But tell me if this is not fucking fucked up. Nobody went back and like scoured for mines or bombs. They just literally left and left everything back. So
So
still,
these mines were being
today,
planted by like at the time, you mean, or
yeah, that
when
was
were they
like
planted?
training. It was training shit.
They have
And
absolute. I can see that, like in the conduct, they just have absolutely no regard for human lives or whatever, right? It's just
at
like,
all. So yeah, like they've done so many shit. And for example, another reason of why we are US citizens, because we're born with a citizenship, is because we get drafted to the fucking war. That was the only reason that we got that shit, so they could send Puerto Ricans to the fucking World War when it was going on. And that's what happened. And what they did is that they actually formed a battalion that was just exclusively of Puerto Ricans. And it was meant to be cannon fodder. Like literally, that was the plan. They sent them, that was the first line. And what they didn't count on is that they were fucking Puerto Ricans and the motherfuckers like literally fucking ravished through wherever they fucking threw them in. And that's why the 65th Infantry Battalion, there's a fucking street or avenue here in the United States in every fucking state that's named after that shit. And that's like there's monuments and bullshit. Like there's in every fucking war story, there will be at least one motherfucking Puerto Rican. Like there's you can't just avoid that shit. And it was infantry.
that's
And again,
cool.
it was they did that, they didn't think as it that was not the purpose. The purpose wasn't them to do what they did. After that, it was encouraging. It was like, oh shit, like we did the fucking lottery, bro. Like this is it. But initially, it was just again, it was meant for them to just get fucking like that's the plan. Like historically, it was for them to get fucking massacred. And while then, the troop is like basking in the victory and with the guard down, then they were gonna move their troops and whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
But that didn't happen. But that didn't get to happen. So
that's a position for true heroism. Like you just turn around the expectations. I can't help but think of the like potential for a story like with those in that type of situation, like or the way you could tell it, like the people who they were just left to die at the front ranks, but instead like the fighting was so fierce they turned the tables.
yeah, that's wild, dude. That's some badass shit. Because I'm pretty sure that it was just the thought of going back. Because nobody fucking cared for whatever the fuck was happening. Like that's true. Yeah, okay. They're bad. They're bad guys. They're doing bad shit. Oh, they're gonna what? Okay, cool. It's It's survival. You don't want to fucking die. In the end, and that's like, they can chalk it up to whatever heroism and yeah, no, we were, and I'm sure that there must have been, yeah, some air of patriotism or like just to rationalize whatever the fuck is happening, right? In terms of like, yeah, we're fighting evil, whatever. I wouldn't doubt that in some that could be a present thing. But for it to be like every one and for it to be the sole driver of pushing in that circumstance, I don't think so. It's in my head or how I would see it is I gotta go back. I can't fucking die here,
Yeah, I got to
bro.
survive.
I gotta survive this shit.
That's a powerful motivator.
Yeah, as any. It's that refusal. Have you seen that video, for example, of that it was in this Ukrainian war? It's this Russian soldier against the Ukrainian. He's it's this body cam footage. I don't
Right.
remember. I
Whether
think it's the Rush, it's the Ukrainian honing in on the Russian, or if it's vice versa. I don't remember that part, but you have you seen that video?
where it's two guys fighting and it's in like a fucked up house.
It's outside of like a house. It's in rubble and everything.
I think so. And
And they're like they're shooting each other,
one of
but
them's like a Mongol guy or something, right? Or he looks like a fucking. He looks like he's.
I can see that. I can see that. That they end up knife fighting
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I have seen that.
and stabbing each other, and the guy like finally kills him, and
Yeah, I have seen
then
that.
it's like a respect thing of like, then they start like literally fucking talking while the guy is dying. Like you were a good opponent, shit like that. That's wild, bro.
I think about that stuff a lot. I've never been in that type of fucking situation, but just reading through historical accounts of all this has just been going on for throughout human history, like these types of interactions and these types of experiences that
Well, yeah,
that people have had.
that's why I think, and I mean, we've been talking about this in the workshop because it's part of the workshop, which is also why I was going to mention for sure y'all are going to see more sex in my shit, but it blame the workshop, don't blame me. I mean, the workshop's literally called Fuck Mary Kill, and it's L Nash. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a recurring thing. Like it's used. So I am gonna keep on, I guess, using sexuality. I mean, the last book. I mean, I've read. It was, but we had to read 3 books for this fucking assignment this month, which was by Samoa. Literally fucking means rape me. Violent Faculties from Charlene Elsby, and I forgot the other one. But yeah, I mean, so reading all this shit, talking about all this shit is gonna be kind of hard to not keep on just, especially if like people say and see that it's like a recurring thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Which again,
No,
I hadn't
I
seen
think
it
people
like
are
that.
digging it. I think people are digging it primarily. I mean, again, my view is like there's really just like three things that people can write about, and it's like sex, violence, and taking a snooze. I guess taking a snooze on the couch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to. I just don't want to like how you say this pigeonhole myself or like box myself in some type of category or even genre
Mhm.
because I wouldn't feel comfortable because I'm not trying to perform in no type of box. I'm just trying to with each piece is different. I think the most genre close thing that I could call like genre and it's because I say, oh, if you like sci-fi, read this shit. Like it's my lobby shit, which is I've written other stuff for that, which is where I use the code. I don't know if you've seen it, but I came up with literary device as just code, and it's using code then as again as a literary device, just as if it were a metaphor or a simile, just like that, but it's code.
Okay. So you
And
know you know
there's
the meaning of each of the phrases, even though they're not going to be obvious to anybody
yeah,
else.
I mean, it's not even like the phrasing, it's more the formatting of it. Because it's like if
Okay.
it were actual coding, but I don't know shit about coding. So it was just like studying and seeing how coding actually is. And I just then study it as a sentence in terms of like, okay, what are the fucking symbols that we're using here? Right? Like what brackets, or
Uh-huh.
when are you using the ellipses if you use an ellipses, which is not a thing. At least I haven't seen that I remember. But shit like that, right? And then how can and I then make this into something right like my own? And yeah, it took a little bit, but
I don't think I have
I
seen
kind of
that. I think I've only read the Give Me a Brick
yeah,
and then the Wanton Levy.
yeah, it's a part of. I think that's I put it behind a paywall because I was editing some shit of it. It was gonna be like some surprise type of shit, so it's
So
probably not for public. It's behind a paywall right now, but it's part of the lobby, and the lobby is it's not paywalled. I don't have anything paywalled but that thing
okay.
be
Do you
because of
mind
what I
do
said.
you mind cracking the code so is it based on the like the amount of spaces or something like almost like it's divided into columns or something, columns and
What
rows?
What do you mean?
The
Sorry.
the code you came up with.
It's like I said, it's just like coding, just giving it my own definitions, if you could say. So, for example, a node or a direction, an address, that would be for a specific function or whatever
That's
you want to do in code. It would
that's
be
that's
a
cool.
response to my human, right, of or way of interpreting it in my cyborg, which is the ones that I'm using that for. I'm using the code to break into cyborgs and minds and shit like that. So it's like it's playing with memories. So it's things that again, it's just mirroring, and that's a critique in itself. And that's why I thought that okay, this can be a literary device, and people would be like, "Oh, why? Coding is coding, right? And what you're doing is fake coding." But it's not such as much as fake coding, but as what it's representing, and it's what it's creating is a mirror into look how actually similar we are in what's behind the hardware to a computer, to
Mm-hmm.
what AI can be. And again, it's just more on that critique that I'm telling you of like I'm seeing where there will be a huge divide in to what people then will consider to be 100% human, which for sure, again, there will be purists, well, then for which using a computer should be wrong, using a cell phone should be wrong. If you're a purist in terms of like pro fucking human, then. But then there are going to be people that would argue like, no, I'm a human, but I mean these are human made things, and I can use them because they aid me in X or Y. So there's a spectrum in terms of how mad you want to be about it. There's always going to
Yeah.
be someone mad about it.
Then I get the impression that on the other end of the spectrum, there's like basically you and me on this matter, which is like the complete opposite. Like, but I just where I personally I just see the technology is just completely inseparable from the way humans like just even perceive the universe.
Well, yeah, I think it's important in terms of like how you can see things of mentality because none is I I'm being pro all this shit, and I don't even have fucking enhancement. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have anything or the means to get anything upgraded, or even a desire to get anything upgraded right now. To be quite honest, I can't think of anything. I could
What do
fucking
you
come up probably with something on the spot, but that's not, you know, it's more like what it represents. And I'm more about again about that shit. Like if, for example, we were to see the cyborg not only as a real thing, because it is going to be a real thing, and I'm not going to deny the existence of it, but if you see it more of it as a symbol, as a myth of us leaving and transcending humanity and what that entails, what that just starts
okay,
to then take importance and relevance from. Like, for example, for a cyborg, something as eh, something as bisexuality or any type of sexuality other than being, for example, straight is something banal. Is irrelevant. It's not something that you will even
yeah,
think of like it's something important or a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's
because it's not written down in the code, so it's not represented in the sort of conception of reality. Only what's explicitly stated.
that could be a way that you could see it, but I was more. It's more of a philosophical thing. Again, that's what I'm saying. It's more like a myth. It's less. It's more an abstract than the real thing. We have the real thing, and we have to acknowledge that. But you have to also see then what that represents in terms of reevaluating what being a human is and what leaving humanity behind would mean.
Because, like in the myths, like there's this aspect of reaching a better understanding of reality, or like some kind of communion with the true spirit of reality that
A
gives
return to an origin in some, yeah, like a return to the source.
yeah, and then after they go back and kind of like fix the world, but then you can't stay in the world really anymore, and maybe you just leave. So is that
You're no longer part of it.
represented by some sort of transcendent understanding that would come as a result of superior cognitive hardware?
I don't think that that is needed
You think we already have the hardware?
for sure, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, because people have been using that same old like biological hardware for a long time, right? Like for this purpose.
And for purposes that we don't even know about for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's
What do you think about like the biological side, like altering things at at a genetic level, or like kind of pre-sorting an embryo and then going pure like in vitro fertilization kind of thing?
I mean, I don't have a problem with I'm all for it. If I had money, for example, to enhance any genetic trait or avoid, for example, certain genetic diseases, which there's plenty in my fucking family, I would do so in a fucking heartbeat.
Uh, I don't know
But
why you
again,
wouldn't.
there's some people, some purists wish would. Again, I wouldn't say that they're wrong because it's what the fucking thing is. You, whatever the fuck you want to think, but would argue that that's just not not a thing that you should do because it would be rejecting yourself. And a good example is there's a cure. I don't know how advanced it is right now, but as of 4 years ago, they were like doing trials, right? Human trials with it for patients, or not patients, sorry, people with achondroplasia. And this thing, this medicine, right? It's an injectable, and they would have to take it all throughout their developmental years, which is pretty much 18 years, right, of their life. Assuming that we're talking about since an infant that starts taking this medication, which were the patients that they were experimenting with, at least the ones that I checked, up until again their adulthood. So what this would do is that it's not necessarily can't cure achondroplasia, but it would mitigate the bad symptoms and effects that it can cause of having this condition, being born like this. And part of it would be that it would mitigate the effects that it has on the lack of growth. So it's not that they're not going to be dwarfs anymore, right? But they're going to grow slightly taller than they would otherwise without the drug. It also increases their lifespan marginally. But then there's people within the community that see this as genocide, like they're erasing the achondroplasia community and those type of wars. Like it's wrong
That's
because
crazy.
that pain is part of what makes them be them. And this is coming with someone with achondroplasia, dude. This is not coming from a random regular sized person or whatever the fuck. No, this is somebody that lives with that condition that comes with it and knows, the everything that comes with it.